Hi traders, Chart Gal Lori here, coming to you on this Thursday. It's August 25th. Charting Man Dan has the day off, so you're stuck with me. All right, let's get started with the Hang Seng. So I know this is not a chart that we typically cover, but I think it's important for us to look at the Hang Seng index. I think it played a major role in today's move. Let's take a look at it. So the Hang Seng was up overnight at 3.63%. If you joined me at the pregame show, you know I talk about the international markets, especially Hang Seng and DAX, and we try to just kind of get some clues from those markets. It doesn't mean that we're going to mirror step them step by step, but we can get some clues. And overnight, Hang Seng was extremely strong. So it was, again, up 3.63%. Hourly move went from oversold straight to overbought. And if we look at China names, look at Baba, up 8% today. Baidu, up almost 9%. Neo, up 6.25%. So the China names had a very strong day, and that helped lift the market. What else helped lift the market is SMH. So semis here closing near the high of day. In about 4 minutes will be closed. So NVIDIA had earnings last night. So one of the things we were looking at on the pregame show was this level right here, 16724. So 16724. If we were to lose that level today, we would be losing our weekly high or low. And if you look at pre-market, we lost that. We were down as low as 163. I was covering it on the pregame show, and it was about 166. So it was important, super important for NVIDIA to get back up over that 167.24 and keep that weekly high or low intact. And my comments were, if NVIDIA can do this during regular trading hours, it would provide fuel to the market. We know that semis are the fuel to the market engine. And so the semis really came in a big way today. So let's look at SMH. SMH, beautiful day, up 3%. That's a very large percent for that type sector. Let's look at the heat map. So the really bright green, that is 3% plus. Look at the semiconductors. Look at that list. That's who carried us today. If you want to know who had the market on their back, it was definitely the semiconductors today. Energy was kind of blah. Oil was up in the morning and then took a really big nosedive into pit close. So, and consumer staples were down. Tesla was down, which we've seen this happen a lot as of late, where a stock will do a split and the very next day they take a hit. And I don't know if the Twitter deal has anything to do with this heaviness, nor do I care. Just overall, Tesla chart not looking that great. So actually, let's go look at that. The Tesla daily. This could be a head and shoulders pattern. It's not my favorite head and shoulders pattern I've ever seen. It's closer to an EQ, but we did break that by $1 here, that high. So it could be a head and shoulders, but overall, Tesla was weighing on the market today midday, and then finally the market was able to shake it off here at the end of the day. They're looking to tag possibly 4,200 in the next 2 minutes. All right, so we had the Hang Seng and China names propping us up today. We had the semiconductors really fueling the engine of the market. And then the other thing we were looking at this morning is the VIX. If you look at the VIX on the daily, we are below the 50 and 200 simple moving average. That's key for me, some of the key indicators I look at. And we knew that should be, not would be, but it should be very strong resistance. And it proved to be a resistance. We have a support down here at 21.27. That's our gap fill, excuse me. The gap fill would be 21.27. And we knew in pre-market, the 4 hour was, any bounce would most likely be a 4 hour low or high, which was also bullish for the market. Let me look at SPY real quick for you. I typically only chart futures. I like to look at SPY just to identify the gaps. And we have a gap at 42122 overhead to be aware of. So yes, we're closing super strong. Looks great. Let's look at the 5 minute. We're 1 minute to close, and it is super strong. But we have to remember one thing. We have Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow. So we have the Jackson Hole Symposium that started today. We've had some sound bites come out today from Harker. And so Powell's expected to speak tomorrow at 10 Eastern. So core PCE index at 8:30, and we have Fed Chair Powell at 10 a.m. So that'll be during, there we go, we're over the 4,200. So that'll be during regular trading hours. So The daily is getting a nice bounce. We're negating a bear flag. And most importantly, look at this weekly chart. Look at this lower wick of bulls buying the dip here. This could be a bull flag. Bulls just need to maintain 406450 to keep the bull flag alive. So I know that we've had a bearish few days there, but I would say the recovery today was quite impressive. So we had an hourly EQ most of the day, and then we got that bull volume coming in strong here at the end of day. But caution, caution, we have Powell tomorrow. QQQ, again, I don't typically chart this except for gap fills. So we have a gap fill at 32208 overhead to be aware of. NASDAQ has a nice bounce on the daily. And just one thing I want to point out the difference between ES and NASDAQ. Actually, let me go back to ES. So on ES, we broke this low here, 411375. We broke it by $3 and bounced. I'm calling that a double bottom. So on ES, we have a double bottom. On RTY, we have a double bottom. See, we didn't close this. Excuse me, we didn't lose that. And we didn't lose it over here, so we have a double bottom. And then we have YM, Dow. It didn't lose it. So the only indices that lost the daily higher low was NASDAQ. And so what this could mean for NASDAQ, doesn't mean it'll happen, is this set up nicely for a megaphone. We'll see. It could be a broadening formation, but the other three sectors in this scenario actually pulled NASDAQ up because it was one of the weaker ones and it lost this daily uptrend. All right, dollar. So we were looking at this yesterday morning on the pregame show. We were looking at this diamond bearish reversal pattern, and the diamond bearish reversal pattern, I've done a video for TCG members on that if you haven't seen it, TCGers. So we'll have a higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, and then pop up to a lower high where a higher high is difficult to attain because we pulled back. That retracement was so deep. And then we EQ out over here and then break bear. But this bear break on this diamond bearish reversal pattern on the 4-hour did not have a lot of follow through. So then we go to the higher time frame and say, okay, what's going on here? Well, what's going on is this could be a daily bull flag. Let me delete that diamond. This could be a daily bull flag. Also, we have part of a cup. So we have a cup and a handle here on the dollar. Now, if Powell's comments spark the dollar tomorrow, we could confirm this daily cup and handle pattern on the dollar. That would be bearish for metals and it would be a headwind for equities. And notice I say a headwind. It doesn't mean it will stop it in its tracks, but it could slow things down for the stock market. Okay, commodities. So commodities this morning, we were looking for this daily lower high in pregame, and I typed it right here. We were on this candle right here when I typed this, saying I would be looking to top fish the next 15-minute lower high, attempting to nail this daily lower high, and it's a potential bear flag actually. So on gold, if you got that good, now we have an hourly EQ. Bulls are recovering nicely from that pullback this morning. Looking at oil, oil had a huge pullback into the pit close. We have hourly inside bars. 4-hour, we have a downtrend now. So on the daily, we were pushing hard. We broke over this 95.05. It looked like we were confirming the daily falling wedge, but we ran into the daily 200 MA and it caused a headache. Caused a headache for the bulls. So now we're pulling back and we're closing with a bearish engulfing candle on the day, but we have enough room for a daily higher low, and that's where I'll be looking for my next oil trade, somewhere in this zone, looking for a potential daily higher low bottom fish. Nat gas has traded sideways all day long. Look at that. Just sideways. Had inventory report, and that's where you have this big candle with a big range, but we've just traded sideways in that range all day today. We had that weekly potential cup and handle confirmed and pulled back. And then we had this daily cup and handle here confirmed and pulled back. And so it gives more validity to Dan's pattern recognition of that potential rising wedge. We were getting these higher highs and not getting a lot of follow through. So I'll still be watching that gas for a potential bearish entry, but I'm not going to be hard headed with that gas. It'll tear your head off. Okay, Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a potential 2-day bear flag. Now we have seen it just slowly just kind of inch up, getting higher highs, but without a lot of follow through. If you look at it in the context of this potential bear flag, it makes sense. Look, we got a higher high, not a lot of follow through, higher high, not a lot of follow through. And now we're up here banging our head on the 50 MA on the 4-hour. So it looks like that 2-day bear flag is still a very viable pattern. CCJ, Dan, he covered that last night. So I'm just going to do a little follow up on CCJ. CCJ bulls, they just took a break, and everybody gets a break. Everybody. So it had this huge run yesterday. It popped up higher over yesterday's high, and then it went sideways. So I wouldn't say this is a victory for the bears. We're primarily holding this hourly 8 EMA. So basically what we call this is consolidating in price versus time. And that's bullish. Look, we're cooling off the hourly RSI. So I wouldn't say that CCJ is a dead play. It looks like a perfectly nice, well, not perfect because we have this upper wick of profit taking. That's not great, but it does look like a potential 4-hour bull flag. MSOS, how did we close? We closed way up here at the high. So we got that weekly trend change. This is so big for marijuana bulls. I'm sending y'all a big heart. We've got that weekly trend change. And I'm looking at it just thinking the volume's not there yet, but we still have another day left on that. And we need to close over that 8 EMA. TCNNF, another marijuana name that got a weekly trend change today. Marijuana was on fire today. Psychedelics. So drug was really hot today. We still are inside last week's range. But I would say this pattern is bullish. Look at that rounded bottom of bulls just steadily buying that dip. And we're seeing this pattern a lot on this chart. Nice volatile name. And if you are a ninja scalper, I'd be looking at this name for tightening patterns to potentially scalp because there's a lot of volatility. Then finally, Snow. Snow was a name that I had in the pregame show as one of my Queen of the Mountain trades. And here's the reason. When we see a name pop up like this, let me go with the high of pre-market here. When you see a name pop up like this, and it was at least 2 times plus the expected move on this earnings, on this positive earnings response. So the question in the morning is this a gap and go, or is this a gap and you know what, where it's just going to gap up and fall? So typically gap ups are for selling, gap downs are typically for buying. The exception to that rule is when we have a very big earnings beat, and Snow had a huge earnings beat. So my advice to the pre-gamers is wait for a pullback buy. If you could get a pullback buy, it could be a good buy because we've got a lot of hungry bulls over here. They're looking to buy any dips on this huge earnings beat and move. So we have those implied moves when they're more than 2 times the expected move. Those have a higher probability of having legs and momentum and staying power on their bull move. So I'd be watching this one, by the way, tomorrow for a 5-minute back burner trade, first 5-minute oversold. So thank y'all for letting me be with you this evening. Dan will be back to the regular show next week on the market recaps. So I hope you have a great evening and use stop losses.